America's first 9 presidents were all born before the nation ever had a president. In fact, 8 were born before America was even a nation. Martin Van Buren was the first president born as a United States citizen, as he was born in 1782, in the period of time between the nation's founding and George Washington's presidency. The only other president born during this period was 12th President Zachary Taylor. 10th President John Tyler and 11th James K. Polk were born during George Washington's presidency. Also born during this time was James Buchanan. John Adams only served a single term. During those 4 years, the only future president born was Millard Fillmore. During the 2 terms of Thomas Jefferson, Franklin Pierce, Abraham Lincoln, and Andrew Johnson were born. 3 presidents associated with the Secession Crisis and Civil War. Like Jefferson, James Madison served as president for 8 years, but no future presidents were born in that time. When James Monroe was president, Ulysses S. Grant and Rutherford B. Hayes were born. John Quincy Adams only served a single term, under which no future presidents were born. Like with Jefferson, 3 future presidents were born under Andrew Jackson's presidency: James A. Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, and Benjamin Harrison. Jackson might have been the original leader of the Democrats, but all the presidents born during his presidency were Republicans. Under Martin Van Buren's single term, Grover Cleveland was born. Cleveland was born in New Jersey. However, like Van Buren, Cleveland eventually made a name for himself in New York, and both men spent most of their lives in the state, though in very different regions. Both were Democrats. There were no future presidential births under the month-long presidency of William Henry Harrison, but one was born under the presidency of Harrison's successor. During the John Tyler administration, William McKinley was born. During the 8 years spanning the presidencies of James K. Polk, Zachary Taylor, and Millard Fillmore, no future presidents were born. Even during the following 4 years, from 1853 to 1857, the only birth was Woodrow Wilson, and only in the final months of Franklin Pierce's presidency. During the presidency of Franklin Pierce's successor, James Buchanan, Woodrow Wilson's 2 immediate predecessors, Theodore Roosevelt and William Howard Taft, were born. There were none during Lincoln's 4 years as president. However, during what would have been his second term, which was carried out by Andrew Johnson, Warren G. Harding was born. 2 future Republicans, Calvin Coolidge and Herbert Hoover, were born during Ulysses S. Grant's presidency. No presidents were born during the presidencies of Rutherford B. Hayes or James A. Garfield. However, in what would have been Garfield's term, which was served out by Chester Arthur, 2 prominent presidents of the 20th century were born: Franklin Roosevelt and Harry Truman. None were born during the 2 non-consecutive terms of Grover Cleveland, and even during the term of Benjamin Harrison, the president between Cleveland's 2 terms, the only birth was Dwight Eisenhower, and then in the following 4 years under William McKinley, there were also no births. That's a 16-year period with only 1 presidential birth. It's possible there would have been at least 1 more had Franklin Roosevelt not run for an unprecedented 3rd term in 1940, as many prominent politicians of the time who were interested in the presidency had been born during Cleveland's 2nd term or Harrison's term. However, Roosevelt's unprecedented popularity assured no one else stood a chance of being elected. Also, following Roosevelt, many more presidents than before would receive 2 terms, meaning the nation simply wasn't going through as many presidents. The only president born in Theodore Roosevelt's 2 terms was Lyndon Johnson. Under Roosevelt's successor, William Howard Taft, Johnson's successor, Richard Nixon, was born, along with Ronald Reagan. And under Taft's successor, Woodrow Wilson, Richard Nixon's successor, Gerald Ford, was born, along with John F. Kennedy. No presidents were born during Warren G. Harding's presidency. Jimmy Carter was then born under the Calvin Coolidge presidency, and so was George Bush. During the whole of the Great Depression and 12 years of Franklin Roosevelt's presidency, only one president was born. None were born during the early parts of the Depression under Herbert Hoover, and the only president born under Franklin Roosevelt's 12 years was Joe Biden. However, during the presidency of Roosevelt's successor Harry Truman, 3 presidents were born: Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump. All were born during Truman's first term, or what would have been Roosevelt's 4th. No presidents were born during the 8-year period Dwight Eisenhower was president, and only one was born during the presidency of John F. Kennedy. That was Barack Obama. Thus far, no man born under the presidencies of Lyndon B. Johnson or any of his successors have been elected president. If you'd like to see more videos like this on United States presidents, you can subscribe to the channel. You can also visit the channel page for other presidential trivia videos and for more in-depth videos focusing on specific presidents. If you'd like to show your support for the channel and have your name featured in the credits, you can make a Patreon donation of either $2, $5, or $15 a month. Patreon link in the description below.